Welcome to Shadow of Truth with your host, Dave Kransler from InvestmentResearchDynamics.com and Rory Hall from thedailycoin.org. And we have a special broadcast for you today. We're going to be discussing Jade Helm and some of what has recently materialized. And also want to give a special shout out to silverfarm.com, where you can find all of Shadow of Truth's work and all of the Daily Coins videos on MP3 for download. They're all commercial free, and it's just something that one of the really good guys in the neighborhood in our community has put together, and it's silverfarm.com. Thank you so much for being part of the community. We greatly appreciate it. You've sent me a couple of photographs, Dave, of some helicopters, military helicopters flying in formation that have been close to your neighborhood, and that there's been an upswing in military activity in your neighborhood. And this is more than likely, not more than likely, it is associated with Jade Helm. And what's happening is in Colorado, Colorado is one of the states that's been deemed as permissive territory, according to the Jade Helm exercise documents. And what's actually going on? What are you seeing, and what's being reported, if anything, locally?
Oh, nothing's being reported, but last week I was standing outside chatting with a friend, and when we heard this massive rumble overhead, and I looked up, and there was a stealth bomber that had been taking off, and it was getting into its flight pattern and heading east. And I don't know, for the only other time I've seen a stealth bomber is when I was at a Bronco playoff game in the late 90s, and they had 3 of them fly over the stadium. You know, that's what they do. It gets the fans excited. But I had never really seen this was really low flying, and I had never really experienced it other than that. And it was kind of spooky, because you're like, well, why is there a stealth bomber flying over the middle of Denver? And then yesterday I was driving down one of the main boulevards. I was at a stoplight, and I just happened to look to the east, and there was 4 or 5 helicopters kind of flying in formation. And at first I thought, well, maybe it's just news helicopters flying over, a part of Interstate 25 heading south, following some sort of accident or whatever. And then I was like, well, they're moving in formation, and they're also a little further east to be over I-25. And when I got to where I was going, I was in the parking lot walking into the grocery store, and then the helicopters buzzed by, which is that photograph I sent you. The helicopters buzzed by just to the south, and they really weren't that far. And it occurred to me, and I remembered that part of the Jade Helm thing was to train the military to sort of blend in with the general population. It's about domestic surveillance and domestic
Assimilation.
Assimilation, yes. And I was thinking to myself, there's probably not very many people who are even noticing these helicopters, and yet there they are, and they're military related. And then yesterday early evening, I was walking off the tennis court with a friend of mine, and there was this big long black helicopter to the north of us flying west. And my buddy has better eyesight than I do because he's younger than me. And he said, "Oh, there's a military transport helicopter." And so it was like, in the last week, I've had 3 encounters with these Jade Helm exercises. And it's really kind of spooky when you think about it, when you think about what they're doing. And also the fact that, it's not being reported and that people aren't noticing it. So they're certainly accomplishing their goal of assimilation, which to me is quite frightening.
It's very frightening. I mean, the fact that you've got, a bomber, and then, 4 or 5 helicopters flying in formation, and then a transport helicopter, that's a lot. That's a lot of activity in a week's time in the United States. Now, in a war zone, or in a area where there's an issue going on, and you need an additional presence, That's one thing. But the fact that, suburban America, urban and suburban America, are being flown over, are having these flyovers on a regular basis, that's pretty terrifying. I mean, why is that necessary? Why is it necessary that I wake up and I've got helicopters, military helicopters, flying through my neighborhood? Why is that? I mean, seriously.
Well, it's a rhetorical question. Obviously, we know what the answer is.
What's the answer?
The government's moving into totalitarian control, and in order to do that, you have to have a dominant military presence to intimidate the population.
Question that I have is that are these guys going to turn on us? Which I've asked this question before.
No, because if you obey orders and you act politically and socially correct and you do what the government tells you to do, they have no reason to bother you.
I guess that's why every time you turn around that people are being villainized as far as law-abiding concealed carry citizens. They're now the demon. These veterans that have weapons in their home, they're demons. That's training. That's teaching people, to turn in their neighbor. A couple of years ago, they had the See Something, Say Something program that's not gone anywhere. You can see that. I was at the DMV getting my vehicle inspected, and there was a poster in the little waiting room that was See Something, Say Something. And there was another one at a community center at one of the local parks as well. So it's a constant state of training to teach people that you need to turn in your neighbor, and if they have suspicious activity, like, I don't know, an excessive amount of groceries going into their home, or maybe they're flying one too many American flags. Maybe they have a "Don't tread on me" flag hanging out in their front yard.
Too many bags of fertilizer from Home Depot. My neighbor's building a bomb.
Exactly. It's ridiculous. But that's what's happening. People don't even see these helicopters flying overhead. They probably did see the stealth bomber, but they probably went, "Woohoo, look at that. How cool is that?"
Oh, no question about it. No question about it. Getting back to the physical versus paper discussion on gold and silver, I just noticed that APMEX is completely sold out of their 1 ounce Silver American Eagle, their random year category. So not the 2015s, but if you want the lowest premium product is their random year, and it was selling for $3 over spot, but they're sold out now.
I think that's pretty much the case across the board. I don't think you can get anything other than 2015 unless you just happen upon them. I mean, there's not hardly anything out there.
People are starting to catch on, at least some people.
Better get it while you can. Now, tell me this, Dave. Bill Murphy, when we spoke with him about a week or so ago, he said that his contacts are telling him that silver is going to run out. They've changed it. It seems that they've changed it from may run out to will run out. Or did I misunderstand that?
They're saying that it's extremely tight. You can't buy it in size. It takes several weeks to accumulate any kind of size in silver. It's starting to get that way in gold, and they think that by this fall, September, October, that refiners aren't going to be able to get any raw silver, in any kind of quantities to produce meaningful bullion bars and coins, etc.
Did you see Steve St. Angelo's article a couple of days ago?
I haven't had a chance to catch up on that stuff. I was going to do it this weekend.
Top 3 silver producing countries are down year over year between the 3, about 8%.
Oh, yeah, that doesn't surprise me. That's a function of a lot of things. It's not just the low price of silver, although that's a big part of it. It's also because 70% of all silver is produced as a byproduct to mining other base metals, and base metal mining is dropping like a rock, also because of the crash in commodities prices. Just as an aside, I noticed APMEX, the premium on a 2014 Silver Eagle and this is for a roll, is $5.75. It's $6 for if you want to buy singles, just individual coins.
$6 premium.
Yeah, and that's well, that's probably one of the best ways to measure how tight supply is the premiums on retail coins and bars. And we're seeing, I mean, these are percentage premiums that are almost as high as they were in 2008.
Well, I'm happy to report that I just picked up this past weekend two 10-ounce bars for $17 an ounce.
That's fantastic.
You had 5, I got 2 of them. I didn't want the other 3. I was going to get all 5 of them, but
that's all I got, dude.
That's all I got, Dave. So, I guess we'll pick it up again next week. We've got coming up next week, we have Mr. John Embry on deck. I'm loving that. That's perfect timing for him to come back on. So,
yeah, I agree. And he and I have been exchanging a lot of emails over the last several weeks, and I think it's going to be a spirited conversation.
That's good. We like spirited.
Exactly. Enjoy what you can, while you can, as much as you can, because I'm not sure how much we're going to be able to much longer.
Words to live by.